How is it going, everybody? Scott the MassNERDerer here with another Nerd Talk. Be advised. I want to remind you right off the bat, if you want to skip ahead straight to the topics and skip the intro, make sure your annotations are on while you're watching this on YouTube and click any of the buttons on the bottom. You'll skip right to that topic. For those watching on Twitch or who are just curious what we're going to be talking about, today we're going to be talking about overused weapons, and we are going to focus in on the M16A3 after a little bit, but in general, overused weapons. And then we're also going to be talking about is gaming accepted, generally accepted across the board. And then we go into questions. So, for you tuning in on Twitch TV, thanks for joining us. There's a lot of people. Just reading off some of the latest people to join: Zirzap, IGTbat, Seagull, Eggroll, Clappy, Terrible Ziant. Yep, latest people I saw in the chat. Thank you guys for showing up. If you guys don't know our other hosts here, we have MrTimeItself, Culprit008, MrTehPuppy, and our guest for the evening is TheCarlGustavNoob.
Hello.
If you want to check out his channel, simply click on his face there. It'll take you to his channel or a link in the description. So he's done some cool videos and been featured on Don't Revive Me Bro before. So worth checking out. Alright, how's everyone doing tonight?
What? I'm good. Kicking off the weekend.
Last video I had someone complain about the intro, so I had to make sure right off the bat I say, you can click and skip ahead.
Oh, really?
They complain about that?
I got one comment.
No.
So. Hey, for this long, my intro is not getting a comment. But anyway, won't waste any time. We are starting about 15 minutes late. We apologize for that. Carl's first time hopping on. We didn't test out anything. So, yeah.
It's hard.
So, in that case, no one go to his channel. Don't check it out. Just Alrighty. So, I guess, Carl, if you want to just take a brief second to introduce yourself. Anything you want to share, and then we'll move in.
Alright, my internet alias is TheCarlGustavNoob. I use Carl for short. I make FPS videos. I guess that's it.
Okay. Very good intro. I'm just
Yeah, it's
joking,
pretty
you're fine.
legit.
Alright, and he doesn't have a webcam, unfortunately, so, but he has a nice text I made for him, so. Now, our first topic here, this first question is on overused weapons, okay, and this was actually a user submitted from MasonJB150, and he was saying specifically about the M16A3. He says the M16A3 is OP and it makes Battlefield 3 boring. And then he mentioned that level cap said so. So, no offense, JB, that was just funny. But we're gonna get to that. Before we jump into that, I want to start with sort of just overall in past games. I want your guys' opinion on, does overused necessarily mean overpowered? Do they always equal each other? Do they sometimes equal each other? So I'd love, who wants to start us off? And you guys in the chat, please, the whole time, chime in. And if you want to get our attention even more, type the @ symbol, @nerd, @culprit, @nerd talk, whatever, and it'll stand out to us a little better. So,
well, I think you see people, like, they see what the pros use, they want to use it. And, you know, it's usually at least decent. And so they stick with something safe. Maybe it's overpowered, maybe it's not. Maybe they'd be better with someone else. But they just like, oh, that works. I don't have to make any other choices.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, obviously we're going to get to the M16, but, like, the M16 correlates with the FAMAS and Black Ops, and that was, I think they're very similar. They're both very hugely all-around weapons, and the FAMAS I thought was a hair OP, just because it did everything really well, whereas the M16 just does everything well. It doesn't really have a weakness, but it's not very well at anything. And then you get the other side where, like, if you remember when Close Quarters like first dropped, everybody was using the F2K because of all the new assignments and everything, and all you heard, oh my god, they buffed it, it's OP, it's OP. Everybody now thinks it's garbage because, you know, like, so it's just, that's because you got killed with it so many times. You were just like, it's got to be OP, it has to be, and it proof shows you it's not. I mean, there's definitely been OP guns. I mean, I'm talking out of my ass here. I didn't play World at War, but wasn't there like one gun in there that was just like ridiculous?
MP40.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't play the game, and I know that it was OP, you know what I mean? So, there's certainly guns that are, like the M60 was in Bad Company 2, you know, there's, I mean, those are obvious ones, but, you know, everybody, I mean, the M16, I don't personally think it is, you know, myself, but I'm an M16 whore, too, so.
So I'm trying to not go into M16 yet.
Yeah, I know.
Overall, yeah, general gaming, before we jump in.
No, I think there's a big difference between overused and OP, and I don't think most people understand that.
I agree. Like, there's you know, it's not so much that it's OP. It's just you get killed by it a lot. I think a lot of people have this misinterpretation of what it is exactly OP.
just because like sometimes, all right, you look at like we'll throw it back to Counter-Strike Source, and a lot of servers had what's called the OP band, AWP, which stands for Arctic Warfare Magnum. Figure that one out. But yeah, but basically it was like a one-shot kill anywhere if you hit somebody, and everyone was like, it's OP because it's so strong and things like that. But you know, with it took a lot of talent to use. It wasn't something that was just like I'm amazing with it as soon as I pick it up. You know, I could have never played this game before, and the next thing you know, everyone on the other team's dead.
I could debate that.
Well,
I did that last game.
you have to be able to hit what you're aiming at, though, and I mean that's what I'm saying. If you can't hit what you're aiming at, I mean it is a one-shot kill, but it's also it's a sniper rifle. It's bolt action, and as much as there's a little bit of a way around the animation, which is I'm sure you see a lot of people doing, it's still not something that everybody knew. And I mean, you could even take it to like what was it, Halo 2? Everyone was saying like the plasma pistol charged with the BR combo. That was like OP thing because
That was good.
Yeah, you could drop somebody in seconds. But like, never mind the fact that you had to go pick it up and stay alive long enough to pick up those guns. But then you also had to actually hit people. I mean,
You still had to pick your fights with that.
yeah. I mean, it's not like you could just kill everybody. And saying that one gun is OP in particular, like I don't know. You want OP? Go back to the M26 Mass when that was broke. Go back to the USAS when that was broke.
Well, the
That's
Carl
OP.
Gustav, you can say, man, coming
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Represent.
How about that for a segue?
So-
I got this, Scott.
I bring in the chat for a little bit, and then we'll let you guys continue. So, a few people here, a few have said that no, being overused doesn't actually equal overpowered. I'm trying to find the chat here. But then a few people are saying, it's just people tend to gravitate towards good guns. That's all there is to it. Daskro hopped in here, so I want to welcome Daskro. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, he's pretty good. He's a lot of real gun stuff, and he's hopping in and.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah, he was mentioning a few things, but I'm trying to find the chat now. It's scrolling too fast.
Well, he
For me.
said it's down to individual skill, which is
Yeah.
true. I mean, you got to match the gun with your play style. I mean, I've watched pro-level guys run around with the MP7, and they make it look overpowered. I can't use it because I'm not a hipfire guy, but these guys, they get the right engagement. They know what they're doing with it. It comes down to practice, usage. We make fun of level cap, a little bit because M16, and he makes no apologies for it, nor should he. But I'm sure if he picked up the L85 or whatever and used as much time with it, you wouldn't notice a drop-off in his play that much, But I agree with him. I think, the M16 and guns like that, the FAMAS and Black Ops and going back and back, I gravitate towards the all-around weapons. I don't like that feeling of having an F2K or even AEK and feeling like I can't hit somebody, or you have no chance in an up-close battle. I like them to be rounded out. I try to gravitate to the fast fire, but I always end up using the medium-level guns.
So what I wanted to move off into, and Carl, will let you be the first to talk on this, but was building on that just a little bit. How has YouTube changed things? Has YouTube affected that area? I just want to go back to one thing. Go to World at War. MP40 was my favorite gun. I didn't watch YouTube back then. Obviously, so it's sort of funny. I mean, I pick up a gun, but I'm the kind of guy who I literally use every single gun. Like, in every game, I play with every single gun a lot. And I always like to feel which ones I really like. And that's how I figured out guns before YouTube. As I play with them, I was like, man, I do better when I have the MP40. So I would use it. And it's just sort of funny because at that point, I had no idea. I didn't even know what the concept of overpowered was. There wasn't that. It was just there's guns in the game, and I use the one that I get the most kills with. People use other guns and got a lot of kills, and other people use the MP40 and got a lot of kills. It was sort of like, I didn't think of it. Now that I see YouTube, I think it's biased me to it, because now when a gun gets labeled overpowered, I think even I buy into it a little bit. I'm like, oh yeah, look at me with the FAMAS. I didn't touch the FAMAS until it was patched. And sort of like, I don't know, and so I'm curious, how has YouTube changed that? Because I think sometimes they can tell you a gun is good, and it becomes overused, even if it's not overpowered, depending on how wide it catches on. So, Carl, you want to start us off on, general overused equal overpowered, and how do you think YouTube's affected that?
I can definitely do that. So what I think has happened in the YouTube community for all games, especially the Call of Duty series and Battlefield, is it's created a scenario where you have to gimp yourself, or you're not doing it right, or people will call you a noob. So if I go in M16A3, go 103, someone's gonna call me a noob or something like that. But if I go in with like, I don't know, the AK-74M, they're not gonna bother me. So it's created this kind of scenario. If you don't gimp yourself, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. So, not just so, how about when you're making videos, but how about just in the game in general? I mean, because that's really what we're trying to get at is, do you think YouTube affects what guns become overused in game?
Oh,
you know?
yes.
And,
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, please.
Well, like in the beginning of Battlefield 3, I remember Don't Blink made videos on the M16A3. He didn't say it was overpowered. He said it was a very good weapon. You know, Level Cap obviously pimps his M16A3, and many other players use the M16A3. Now, it's not really overpowered. They use it because there's never a situation where they can't kill someone.
Yeah.
And then I think what the community has done is, oh, all these players who do good in these videos are using it. Yeah, I should use it as well. And then it gets the persona that everyone's getting killed by it, so they think it's overpowered, and then everyone hates it and shenanigans.
So, yeah, what you're saying, and I think I tend to agree a little bit, is that, I mean, I think in-game, even if you don't watch YouTube, if you get killed by the same gun a lot, you're like, maybe I should try that gun out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think what commonly happens is that when a lot of YouTubers start using it, and then a lot of people get kills, there's just like, someone just comes out and says, okay, it's OP. And then once the YouTube viewers, you know, for any channel that really cares, which we may or may not be, sometimes I'm more, whatever, but you know, for the bigger channels and the guys who do this as a career, they have to care about that. You know, if the viewers say they don't want to see M16A3, they stop playing it. And when you bring up Level Cap's a good guy, but I think in earlier videos, he didn't hate the M16A3, and then when everyone else hated it, he's like, okay, don't use the M16A3. And
Yeah, peer pressure.
you know, and then it's just because this is his career. It matters to him
you try
more
to
what he uses.
bring people what they want.
Yeah, and I think it becomes, and then once you get someone like that, you get comments like, what we got from JB is, well, Level Cap said this, so it's got to be true. And that doesn't mean it's not true. It could be. But so let's segue in, move into Battlefield 3, and let's talk about the M16A3. And do we think it's overused or overpowered? Neither, both. And you know, let's see what you guys think.
Well, I'm gonna step back. When you just have forums and people are like, "Oh, this gun's great," and I had this great, you know, look at my stats. It's still not to the level of post YouTube video. And even if you're just beating up on noobs, whatever gun you're using, and you get some amazing game with, suddenly that just lends so much more legitimacy to whatever argument you're making for this gun's great. That I think that's really what YouTube has changed, because you got forums and whatnot before. But now that you can actually post gameplay and lots of people will see it, I think that really does help let people see, hey, that's an overpowered gun. Or actually, that's a really good gun, I should use it too.
It's the same thing as like kids watching NBA basketball players and looking what shoes they got, and so they run and they buy the shoes because they think it makes them jump higher. I mean, we all, I don't know if you're as old as me with the pumps and all that crap, but it's the same phenomenon. It's just, you know, they gotta idolize people, even older people do. Even if you don't realize it, you're gonna idolize and want to be like them and say, all right, you know, what kits you use, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna get everything as similar as I can because that's gonna get me closer to them. But you know, they don't realize that the players actually, like I said, pick the right weapon for what engagement he's going for, what map he's playing, you know, that kind of stuff, what mode. At least I do, and you know, but that's why we're going to Battlefield 3 now. I tend to gravitate towards the M16 because I tend to play that hole plugger role, so I don't never know what I'm going to play ahead of time. I just kind of go where I'm needed, and that's why that suits me the best. Sometimes I wish I had an AEK in my hands, but a lot of times I wish I didn't too when I do have it. So that's why I go to those guns.
I can't see it being overpowered at all. The M16 overused maybe, but the only reason it's overused is because it's user friendly.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's very user friendly. It's like barely any recoil to it at all. You know, especially if you're like doing a nice 8-round burst or something like that. It's got a good fire rate. The reload isn't abhorrent, and I mean, you know, and it's got good long distance, mid distance, good up close. It's good at everything, but it's not great at anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you want long range, you know, OP. You look at an AN-94. That's not really OP. Just sorry, it's the wrong term for the topic. You want a good gun, a great gun for long range. You know, you look at the AN-94 or something like that. That's just pinpoint.
Yeah.
You want good up close, the FAMAS, something like that. You know, both these guns beat out the M16. So how is the M16 OP then? That's my question. If another gun can beat it out in a given circumstance, there's no grounds for it being OP. Just none.
And Carl, what on the M16? What is your take in Battlefield?
Well, on the M16, I don't think it's overpowered because, like Puppy said, you know, I'm going to beat you with an A94 and I'm going to beat you with the F2000. So it's not like... The only thing why people think it's overpowered is because when you're going tryhard and I want to get a good game, I go to that one because, like Culprit said, I can do anything with it. I can fill whatever hole needs to be filled. If there's some long-range engagements that needs done, I can do that. If I need to go in close, I can do that. So that's why people think it's overpowered, because it does everything.
And I think,
and Daskro points out reload time. That's what really pushes it to the top for me. It does everything well, and it's got like a kick-ass reload time. And that, I mean, that's the only thing that kind of starts me wondering. Otherwise, no. But you know, I still don't think it's OP. But that to me is really the icing on the cake for the whole gun. You know, it's kind of like, wow, okay, I get all this versatility, and I get reloads on the fly.
and earlier, Daskro mentioned something. It's something that actually, when I played in Project PTFO, and I think a lot of people who played in Project PTFO followed, and that it was that, you know, people who play competitive typically don't use very many guns. So I think you see some of the YouTubers who are more in the competitive scene or play more often, you'll see a particular gun show up more often. And for a long time, that was the M16. Just because throughout all the patches, there's one gun that was sort of like, they don't change it too much because it doesn't need much changing. And I think you have to take that into account too, where it's overused, but it means it's steady. If you use a lot of different guns, you're not gonna have the same control of the recoil. You're not gonna adjust to the gun the same. So I think that's what I did when I played in Project PTFO. The only gun I used was the M16A3 for a while, and that's just because I learned how to use that gun. I knew the recoil, and I could play with it. The minute you use a different gun, I started adapting, and I think that contributes to overuse as well, but it's not necessarily overuse, it's keeping your gun skills sort of thing, you know? Now that
Most of the guns are very similar in the game, even those little differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, before we move on, when we talked about the M16A3, I think all of us sort of came through it. Overused, maybe, but not stupidly so. That might be a good, you know, it's for a reason. Do we have any guns that we do find OP? And a few people in the chat have mentioned a few, and I think a few came up when you were talking Puppy, but what guns do we find actually overpowered? And then why? How so overpowered?
I think the balance is perfect.
I think I can make a case for the M417 personally. I know, Time, you are the semi-auto sniper king, and you have attested that you do not have good success with it. But look, every time I pick the thing up, I am terrible at recon, and every time I pick the thing up, guaranteed I'm going to have a good game. You know, I don't know how one can. I mean, I'm not trying to drag you down here, Time, but I don't know how you can say it's not OP when the thing has one-shot kill potential, 20 rounds in a mag, and a reload time that you would not believe.
Can't spam it.
Yeah.
You can spam it, but you just can't spam it like you were going SKS or something like that. But as long as you just lay off the trigger just a touch, like if you were using the 44 or something like that, you know, if you lay off it just a touch, it is a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, I can put down people faster with it than they can put me down with the M16. So I don't, you know, I mean, and if you get that one-shot headshot off, then nobody stands a chance. Bring on your AEKs and your shotguns and whatnot. I mean, I think there's a legitimate case that it needs to be toned down a bit. I don't know if they want, I mean, I'm not saying they have to nerf the damage on it, but, you know, maybe adjust the reload time or something to that effect. But
That magazine size is pretty large.
Yeah, that's, to me, is the kill. Like I was saying, it's that and reload. You know, it's kind of, if you want to tone it down a little bit, that's where I would go.
Yeah. And so in the chat, IGT mentioned shotgun with slugs. He thinks those are overpowered. Dasko said the M4A1. Anyone want to chime in on those two guns?
Love me some slugs. Those things are just amazing. Oh my god. It's just everything dies. It's fantastic. I don't even have to like be good. It's like even if I'm suppressed, they go wherever I aim. It's fantastic.
You did say that you think the balancing is perfect. I mean, so do you actually? You think the slugs
I don't
maybe
think they're
are crazy?
overpowered. They're just amazing. I love them, but I think that's just because my playstyle fits to them. Because if you get too far out, they're not very useful. And if you kind of get that dark zone of the mid-range where you're not one-shotting them anymore and they can still kill you with their, like, let's say M16 or AEK, then it's kind of like I'm outclassed. But if I'm in, I think it's 15 meters, you're going to die. So I don't know.
I get it. Go on.
I was going to say, I've seen some people bring it up in the chat, and it's different gun, but the 93R. For a backup, man, show me a better one.
Good.
Show me a better one.
Yeah, but the the Magnum was all the rage before that too. So I mean, it's kind of flavor of the month a little bit. I mean, that's what I use. And again, but it's more of a utility thing.
I
I
can't
don't
use
think
the
it's flavor of the
93R.
month, though.
I can't use
I-
fully
I-
auto
I-
pistols, or I can't do it. Or,
Fantastic.
It is. I mean, like I am a 44 kid. I love the 44 and the
Yeah, see, I can't use
1911.
44.
Between those two, like I love them. But when it comes to like, all right, it's time to really put the tryhard pants on. I got to put those away because I know the 93R is better. It's got a faster fire rate, faster reload time. I know in one mag I can get, and I have gotten 4 or 5 kills with just the 93R. So, and then there's that faster reload time, so why would I bring along the 44 or
Yeah.
the 1911?
You don't have that feeling of I have my pants down when you pull out the 93R.
Right.
I can do work. I can still go. I don't have to go hide. I can take on that 4th and 5th guy as opposed to shit Magnum. I gotta go find and hide. Like.
It's a pocket MP7. That's what it really is.
Yes.
But it has very limited range of effectiveness, which that's kind of the balancing out. But I mean, when do you really need your sidearm? When you're up close.
Right.
Usually you're on that 3rd, 4th, 5th kill, and yeah, I mean that's why I love it. And I used to use the G18, the automatic, but you would just dump your clips out too quick. So that's why this is a nice balance for me. I don't know if I buy that it's OP, but I guess it might be comparative to class, like Daskro said with the M4. You got to look at the other guns around it, I guess.
To try to round out this topic before we move on to the next topic, keeping really true to the overused weapon is actually something Mason JB150 mentioned. It makes the game boring. Overused weapon. Some games become very overused. Does that make the game boring? And we can gravitate specifically to the M16A3, for example. I just want to start with, though a lot of people make videos using the M16A3, or they did for a time, and maybe I like seeing different guns, in game, I never once have been in a game where there's all one weapon. I think you always... So for me, maybe it makes some YouTube videos boring, especially if someone uses the same playstyle all the time, which is... I probably keep my same playstyle. I use similar guns. I could see that getting boring, but I don't think it makes the game boring. I mean, what do you guys think?
I
I've
think it
never
goes
had
with
that issue.
the weapon. And we talked about you pick a playstyle for that weapon, and when you get lots of people using the same weapon with the same playstyle, then unless you're at a competitive level where the differences actually become interesting, it can be a fairly dull game.
Yeah, I don't have that problem as a watcher of YouTube. I don't care. Like I'll watch guys use the same thing all the time as long as they're entertaining, teaching me things. It's a boring video is boring because it's boring. To me it doesn't really matter about the weapon, and it might be boring for you to constantly play in your own playtime the same weapon all the time. I have that problem. I get antsy and wander off into other guns. But as far as like watching videos and things like that, or I don't really pay that much attention to what weapons my other team's using. I mean, I might go AR or LMG, that kind of thing, to know how to approach them. But I don't go, oh my god, that guy's got an M16 again. I wish he would use the AEK. I don't really, I don't buy that.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, and you could say on competitive level, it balances. Now everybody's using the same gun, so now it's even up to the personal skill even more. Like you hand everybody the same kit and say go. Now it's really just down to the player, not necessarily differences in kits. But I mean, I do enjoy variety at the same time.
Just so you guys in the chat, that's my dog. I don't know why she won't shut up, but I would have to stop in the middle of the stream to go shut her up, and that's not easy.
She disagrees. She thinks it's OP.
Yeah, man, she's...
I'll be heard.
She wants to go out. She always wants to go out when I do a podcast. But anyway, Carl, Puppy, you guys do want to chime in? Final comments?
I like cargo.
Oh, I just zoned out. Oh boy.
So
I was talking. that's
make
why.
the game boring. Yeah.
Oh, it's only boring when everyone's rolling their recon 12 times. Like, it doesn't matter to me what everyone's using. Like, if everyone's in the hills trying to uber elite headshot me, then that's boring. But if we're all rolling M16s, then it's just player skill, and I like it when everyone's using the same thing, because I can pull out the
that's
counter
true.
to that.
I feel about the same way. I don't think it's really boring. Of course, it's not boring to me when they're all running around with their sniper rifles and 12Xs, because that's when I can pull out my defibs and go run some background work. And I know I can give me some defib kills in there.
All right, you had your segment, Puppy.
I know. I'm leaving it alone. Leaving it alone. Just saying, though.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, grab that sniper rifle. Watch what happens.
All right.
Awareness fail.
Cutting it there, we're going to move into a next topic, which I'm sort of excited about. Gaming. Is it accepted or nerdy? And this is something I just want to start off with the fact that I sort of call myself the closet gamer. In my circle of friends, gaming's still sort of nerdy, and not nerdy like in a cool nerdy. And I'm more open with it now. It's changed a lot in the last year of being on YouTube. But when I started, gaming was sort of something I didn't tell my friends about. You know, I sort of did it in the shadows. And so the whole point of this topic is, you know, how do we think gaming is accepted or not? And really, one of the benefits of having Carl come on is Carl is a younger guy. Carl, you're still in high school, correct?
Yeah, I'm 14 going in grade 9.
Great. So, yeah, we want to sort of get, we're all a little bit older, 24 and up, 23 and up. I'm 23. I think I'm the youngest here, maybe. Time, are you?
I'm older.
Okay. Yep, so I'm the youngest. I was the youngest next to Carl. So we wanted to bring in a younger generation, someone who's still mature, though, make some good videos, and bring it all in and how we deal with it in school and work and in different environments with our family and how it's accepted. And then we'd love to hear from you guys who are in different countries, different areas, different grades, different age groups, and what we think. What I want to start off with before we go into that further is that when I first thought about this, it was sort of, is gaming accepted? But I think as we talked about it today, it became more like, you got to think there's different areas of gaming. You know, there's the mobile gaming scene, which I think, you know, is very much different than the massive online multiplayer scene, which is very different from the FPS scene, and I think each have different levels of acceptability. So I'd love you guys to start off with, you know, I don't pick any one of them, and we'll talk about one first, we can move in, or however you guys want to do it.
Well, I used to play a lot of MMOs. I played World of Warcraft for several years until that game kind of lost its magic, I guess you could say. And that was a game you couldn't really go out and say, hey guys, I play World of Warcraft, because that obviously wouldn't go very well for you in a school environment. But
Pick up chicks with your level.
yeah, hey baby, I'm a level 80 warlock. How you doing?
Every time it works.
Cast my shadow bolt. No, okay, but anyways, it's very differently accepted in the MMO community. Like when you say you play an MMO, it's immediately the nerd, the short fat kid with pimples. But I think it's different if you're talking about FPS. Like FPSs have kind of become the mainstream game that everyone plays. So if you go into school and you're like, yeah man, I played that Call of Duty, I'm elite quick scoping guy, then everyone's gonna, no one's really gonna call you a nerd or whatever. They're just gonna be like, oh, I play Call of Duty too. Do you do the trick shots as well, or whatever they do, or whatnot? So it's kind of different, yeah.
It's like a sport almost.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I play COD. How good you at COD? Yeah, you spawn trap. I spawn trap, dog. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow, school's come a long way, man.
Yeah, no, they're saying when I was in school. Alright. Let's go to the opposite spectrum. Let's go to the Nerd Talk Grandpa. Sorry. Not a grandpa yet. Sorry.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even. Yeah, I've always been a gamer, so it's hard to say. But like, as far as YouTube and gaming, as much as I game right now, nobody really knows about it. I don't talk, like you said. I don't talk. I mean, my buddy at work, he knows because I don't shut up. But my wife knows, but I don't think she really has a clue. As far as everybody, you know what it is, though? It's
what do you always
like,
do in that room? No, I'm just doing work.
She doesn't care. I'm leaving her alone. We had a party last week, and I had my nephews over who were like 10, 11, 12, in that range. And they're all like, hey, man, you know, they know I have the Xbox, but, you know, they have the set. They know I have the equipment. But they're like, do you play Minecraft? And I'm like, yeah, you know. And they're going through mods. And they're like, yeah, you should really try out Battlefield 3. It's a really cool game, you know. And I'm just like, check it out. And I'm just like, I don't even want to open this can of worms because, I mean, some of you guys, we're all kind of computer nerdy, too. I mean, how much does your family call you up and be like, yeah, you know, my computer's not doing this, plug it in, you know, it's like, so it's like, next thing you know, I'm going to get all this, like, how do I beat this level? And you're just like, no.
Yeah, just on the computer, like, number one.
Watch my videos.
Yeah. Number one troubleshooting for people who have to ask, like, oh, I don't know how to do this, it's like, okay, just, like, click a button on your screen or plug it in. It's always, like, something very simple.
Oh, no. My iPad and my iPhone is really, really slow. Well, you got 342 apps open right now. You know, I get to, all the time. But anyway, no. I'm kind of, I don't like the phrase, Scott, but I'm kind of, I guess, a little in the closet like you are.
I know.
It's terrible, actually. But I know what you're saying. It's I guess the professional world, you don't really run around telling people that. I mean, I don't really have a stigma to it. It's just, like you said, you don't try to pick up chicks. You don't try to seal the deal at work by going, well, you know, you get this.
In your professional
I'll dual-com you if you sign this contract.
In your professional setting, I mean, first of all, would you say there's a difference between mobile gaming, FPS, and World of Warcraft? Would you be more open? I think, my opinion is, I think no matter where you go, mobile gaming's accepted now. And I think just everyone...
Chicks dig KD.
That's what we can take away from this.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
mobile game.
I'm more embarrassed to say I play Farmville than I am to say Battlefield. You know what I mean? That's how I would be.
So in
somebody
your
had to bring it
professional
up.
setting, though, do you think if you mentioned gaming, people might look down on you? Like some people, if you told you were a
think-
gamer, or do you think?
I think it's like anything in life. If and it's such a cheesy phrase, but if you own it, it's okay. Like if it's how you come about. If you're slinking around, you're shy about it, they're gonna be like, "What a total nerd," you know. But if I'm like, "Yeah, I play it," you know, I stomp people, pub stomper, you know, like whatever. I mean, you know what I'm saying, but yeah, but I mean, if that's all you talk about, like, if you come across as a well-rounded person, which I think most of us are, and I mean, we call ourselves Nerd Talk almost as a joke because I don't really consider it that way, you know, but it's almost as a shield. Some people don't call us that. It should be Noob Talk maybe, but you know, it's all in how you present it and how you. It'd be much easier just in person because obviously, I think people would be surprised. It would almost be an advantage to be like, really, that's a unique thing about him, but. No, I don't open or seal deals that way. And but if someone asks me about it,
It's not about if we're embarrassed or not. It's about if we think it's accepted. If it's generally not our personal. This is not our personal thing. We could go into that sometime, but it's more. Do we think gaming is accepted?
I think I think it is accepted. It's but there's negative connotations. Like I think you talk about FPS, people are like, well, that's incredibly violent. Or if you go, World of Warcraft, they're like, you neglect your kids. You know. There's certain things you got to be careful with. So, I'll talk about games, but you'll see it's always like almost begrudgingly. I'm like, I'll answer your question, but I won't go any further.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, okay, that's cool. I've tried it. I tried beta, but I won't really go crazy with it.
So, TimePuppy, I mean,
there's a lot. I felt like there's a big difference between going from single player or just playing with people I've only kind of met from the internet, acquaintances. And you'd be like, I'll answer your question, but I'm not going to tell you that I know 5, 20, 100 different ways you could solve that situation. We're just going to leave that out. But when I got into college and we started playing in the dorms, especially that's where I started console gaming, it was no longer, a remote thing with people I was just meeting on the internet. It was the people who I was becoming friends with, and it became very much a social activity. And so the people who I played games with in the dorms are the same people I play with now.
Yeah.
And it's how we socialize. We do lots of other stuff, but that's still a major part of it. So, very comfortable talking about it with those people, and if anybody asks, that's what we've been doing.
Okay, so
I think I'm the biggest nerd here. Then, I'd honestly, because my mentality is, all right, I will show you professional courtesy on the job, at school, say we have stuck in a group having to work on a project. But if you want to be my friend or whatever, hang out outside of wherever situation I'm in, work, school, whatever, if you don't like video games and you can't talk to me about video games, we can't be friends. That's all there is to it. I mean, because I talk about it. I don't care. I really don't care what game they play. They could be playing Farmville or Sorority Life on Facebook or something like that. I need a gamer to talk to. That's all there is to it, And as far as it being accepted and more everywhere else, I personally think it is. I mean, you look at a lot of jobs now are having to actually implement stipulations now, like recently. They didn't used to have to say this, but now recently they're kind of like, all right, don't be playing apps on Facebook while you're at work, and stay off the phone while you're at work because we don't want you playing. Like, the only reason they have to make these stipulations is because more and more people are doing it.
Yeah. So when I look at mobile gaming, that's what I think. I think mobile gaming is accepted. I think honestly that's because, and then we could go into a topic, and I want to now, but does mobile gaming make you a gamer? And then we'd have to define gamer, and that's why it's sort of a broad topic, and I don't want to get into all of that. I really want to focus in on our level of do we think it's generally accepted. And I guess to further for the remainder of this conversation, which won't be too long, take out mobile gaming. So let's talk gaming. What we're going to call gaming for now, just arbitrarily, will be console and PC gaming, not just your simple games that are mobile ports and stuff like that. And I want to bring up something, Carl, and ask you. Improviser, I don't know if I ever say his name right, said that when, as a kid gaming, it may be a little more accepted in school and stuff, but when older people and parents or things of that sort hear about you gaming, they automatically think lazy. And Carl, do you experience that at all?
I'm a pretty lazy guy, I gotta say that, but that doesn't generally correlate to my gaming experiences, and it's widely differently accepted among the generations, as you said. The younger generation is all like, yeah, bro, I play the games too, but as you start getting older, they start thinking about the negatives associated with gaming, like, oh, the violence, the sexual innuendo, I guess.
Start to touch boobs, so you stop gaming.
Yeah, okay, and then, okay, back on the older people get the more negative things they have to say about gaming, and that just because I think we're growing up in my generation is growing up in a time where gaming is basically engraved into us. You can't go anywhere without playing games anymore. It's just how it is, and I think that's how it's going to continue to be.
Well, that kind of goes to Scott's article. So,
yeah. So I'll bring up this article right now. I just read an article. I'll link it in the description if you're really interested. It's a really short article, but it's just a guy who used to work for EA, I believe. I don't even know if it's EA. Microsoft, yeah. Like I said, I only paid attention to the quote. I read the article, and he left and he's starting up his own game company, and he's saying that the whole world is becoming gamers. He is talking about mobile gaming because that's actually what he's looking to get into. But he said, "I'm bored with movies. I'm bored with TV programs. We're in the industry, the last entertainment industry that really truly can surprise people." He claimed, "We are in the industry where a surprise has to be at the center of everything that we do," and he's referring to the gaming industry. And he's saying that is the last frontier where things can be like truly surprising, truly new. You know, TVs, movies are boring, and gaming you can do anything. You know, I guess
games so often want to be a movie, though.
Yeah,
it's a mistake, right?
Metal Solid, Heavy Rain, you know.
Yeah. And not saying I agree or disagree with him, but it goes on the thing where he was mentioning the whole world is going to be gaming. The title of his article alone gave me this idea for a topic, and then I read the article, and it wasn't really based on what I thought, but it gave me this quote where he's just saying he's bored with the rest of this stuff, and he's thinking, what I got from him is he's thinking games are going to progress even further to where, you know, not, hey, you want to go to a movie, but hey, let's all go play multiplayer, and I think some people do that now. I think that is actually a thing.
Yep.
So it's... You know, how it's getting accepted, I feel like taking these different game things, in college, in undergrad, I think FPS was generally accepted, and it just mattered how much you play. I think most people realize if you were a guy in college, you probably played Call of Duty a little bit. And then we talked about different levels. But then when you go into other games, like, I think World of Warcraft still holds a stigma, and that's probably made just by media. Because that was the first game that they started talking about, and it was just generalized that World of Warcraft means you sit in your room and don't do anything else.
It's taken over the EverQuest stigma.
Yeah, furries and things like that. Yeah, I mean.
And then what I'm curious about, because I haven't talked about it, I talked to people about playing when I played Call of Duty Battlefield. It was okay. I don't play World of Warcraft. I never have. It's free to play. If I ever get time, I'd love to try it out just to see what's up. But I've never played any games like that, massive multiplayer online RPG or anything. But even like things like Minecraft, I think, are still sort of... I wouldn't say in my scene, which is right now actually in the medical school scene, I don't think gaming is very well accepted at all, except for mobile gaming, which everyone does as like little breaks, except me, I don't play any mobile games. But I think first-person shooters are a little more getting accepted, and sort of like... Girls, you know, at one point I think they heard you're gamers and they're sort of like, wow, that's weird. And not just girls, but people, you're lazy, you don't do much. Now they realize, okay, a lot of people play first-person shooters
like
and move on.
Yeah.
But I don't think, at my point in time, that things like the World of Warcraft or the Minecraft, things like that are really accepted. I think they are, you know, not that people like outcast you, but look down on you slightly.
It's dorky, I think, is what you like. It's rather than it's not cool. Like like the FPS would be like the hockey team, and Minecraft and WoW would be like the bowling team. You know, it's like it's legitimate, but
you don't go up to a girl and be like the bowling team. So.
Well, you know what I'm saying, but like you don't go up to a girl and be like, "You want to play Minecraft and see my 48 block high penis I built?" You know,
is that what
castle? Yeah, but you know, I mean, hey, if she's down for it, you're in. But same with WoW, you know. I mean, but it's funny because probably once you get the girl, WoW is the game she wants to play with you. So it kind of spins around. But
some people meet on WoW, which is odd.
Yeah. That's creepy.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
I'm sorry. That's a little
so in family, I know we're active gamers, so I think our significant others accept it more. But Puppy, I mean, how is it? I mean, not only with your wife, but maybe other family members, her friends or her relatives, your relatives How is that gaming accepted, do you think? Your parents even? I don't know if you have siblings or...
The in-laws hate me for it. I know that.
That's what I was gonna say too.
The in-laws think I'm lazy for it, and whenever I hang out with them, they do everything they can to get me outside and basically working on their property. Free labor, I guess. Which I have no problem doing.
You're playing
that.
video games? Do you know we have a lawn that hasn't been cut in 3 days?
Well, I mean, they got a huge property, but I don't want to get into that. That's irrelevant. But my own family is a little bit more accepting of it, obviously, because they're the ones that got me into it. Like my father was the one that really got me into gaming, and he, me and him used to sit down for hours before bedtime, and that was like our ritual. It was like, you go throughout your day, you come home from school, you eat a snack or whatever, you do your homework, then dinner. And then after dinner came that game time. So like it was ingrained in my family. Like this is what you do. You play games. And when I met my wife, it was kind of the same deal. Like I play games. I hope you're cool with that. Now that I have kids though, like that threw things in a little bit of a kind of whoa, because you can't be that guy that's like I play games and still properly raise a child. So there was a good deal of balance. Plus, I personally, me and my wife talked about it. I personally didn't want my kids to play games like Battlefield 3.
No.
Just not until they're old enough to buy it. In my opinion, I know some may disagree, but in my opinion, if you can't buy it, you shouldn't be playing it.
I don't want to try to touch that yet.
Man.
We're really we're spreading out a little bit, and we don't have much time. I want to wrap it up. So, on the accepted, do they think it's fine? Do they accept it? And you said your parents, yes. You in-laws, maybe not. Now, do you think that's a generational thing? Is that because you married their daughter, or where's that?
I think that's more of their upbringing. They are military folk, so they were very much you earn your way through blood, sweat, and tears.
And since you are in an industry which is computer savvy, do you? I don't know, anyone you work with, does gaming ever come up, or would you think they would accept it if they're more prone?
Gaming always comes up. Now, if you're helping a client, no.
Okay. So through coworkers and stuff.
But through coworkers, like fellow IT people, yes, gaming comes up because obviously, if you're working on computers, when you're not working on it, what's the next best thing to do?
Okay. So, and for you guys, before we chat in the live stream chat, sorry. Please type in an @nerd talk, whatever, and let us know in what areas do you think gaming is accepted. Leave a little bit there, and we'd love to look over those. And we'll wrap it up here while you guys do that.
I think you've seen a lot of playing casually, especially that's FPS, easy to pick up games.
Yeah,
it's very accepted. If you tell people you enjoy being good enough to actually start to understand what people who are really good are doing, then you get into issues. And I think what Dasgro mentioned is, if you start playing with someone who you thought was a friend, and it turns out they don't know what they're doing, that can be really stressful, and that's a major reason I wouldn't tell people I play a game like Call of Duty, because there's not a whole lot of skill, but I'm good enough that a random person, if I try to play with them, that's just going to be frustrating for me.
You're okay with them knowing you're a nerd, you just don't want them to know how much of a nerd you are,
Yeah.
It's true, I'm the same way.
Yeah. So, Carl,
but, I want to ask you guys, I'm sorry,
no.
Are you more embarrassed, let's say, alright, we're all okay telling people we game, what are you more embarrassed by, though, that, or telling you how much you put into YouTube about gaming? It's like, YouTube, I'm not just telling people I'm a nerd, I'm an alpha nerd now, I'm... I game.
Let's
but I
save
also
that
spend hours
YouTube thing. We'll go into an after show and we can talk about YouTube because it's a little off the topic and I want to wrap it up. Carl, I want to go back to you and talk about you and your friends. Do you live in America? I'm sorry, I didn't ask.
No, I'm Canadian.
Okay, so still North America.
It explains the voice.
We haven't heard as much from people outside of the country. I think soon that's something I want to do is sort of how maybe bring on a special episode, something later, and find out how the other countries feel. But North America, I don't know how different Canada is, but when you are, how about your parents and you and your friends? Do your parents some parents are fine with their kids gaming, or is it, what's the stigma there? Are we accepted, not accepted, lazy, nerdy, or what's going on there?
Well, my parents are very supportive of my gaming. When I was very young, my dad and I would play Splinter Cell together. We'd play all the games. So my dad is the opposite of Puppy here, but we'd play all the games together. And then as he got older, he got more busy, and we don't play games much anymore. But I still play games quite a bit by myself, and my parents know all about my YouTube, and, you know, I talk to them like, hey, I gamed this many today, or whatever. I don't know, I guess I have a good relationship with my parents, but I talk to them about YouTube, about games. They don't know what I'm talking about a lot of the time, but it's still good to talk to them.
And what about with your other friends? I mean, how are the parents seeing gaming children, you know, from your experience?
My buddies don't play too much games, but when we do play games, they play MW3 or whatnot. They're the Call of Duty kind of guys. But their parents, when they hear that I play as much video games as I do, I think without meeting me, they might think I'm a weirdo. But then once they meet me, I'm generally pretty good with people, okay. I think. So they don't think I'm a weirdo after too much time. But I think if I was a weirdo, they probably would start thinking that games weren't good or acceptable.
They'd blame the
if I
games
show
for
them. Yeah, and then blame the games for it. But if I'm a normal guy and I, you know, keep my socialness up, I guess, then they're going to be okay with it.
So your overall, are games accepted? Is gaming accepted overall? Yes or no? What's your answer, Carl?
Definitely.
Definitely. All right, Puppy. What's your answer? Uh-oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I paused for a minute. I think
No,
it is
it's fine.
accepted. Yes.
Okay.
Simply, yes.
Culprit?
Yeah, I think there's different levels of acceptance, obviously, like we're
Yeah.
talking about, but overall I think it is, and it's only going to be more so as we go further.
Time itself?
Yes, if you can convince them that you actually have a life outside.
Well, that's true. If
Yeah.
you still have a job in a way, you know, like a normal rounded life, then yeah.
So let's before I go further, we got a lot of people saying Ace Squad. Let me fast
I
forward through
told you
that.
they were clamoring for it.
If you have a mix,
get
a few
on.
people said here, if you seek out gamers, non-gamers are not that accepting. Okay. If you seek out, that's from Zap. Eggroll, he's in an engineering discipline. He says gaming's pretty much accepted. I think as you get into computers, not that just being computers makes you
Technical,
nerdy, but technical, you sort of learn that you can game, and it's Jex, if you have a mix, you know, he used a pretty funny example. If you say, hey, I play games, but I also play NFL, Jex, I think he's from Australia. NFL is professional football. I think you were trying to say just American football. But yeah, if you play sports and game, I think that helps you out a little bit. And so Zitterzap said here, if they don't play games, he thinks there's a 95% chance that they don't care if you play games or not, so they're not going to judge you either way. And that might be what so my opinion, is it accepted or not? Honestly, and maybe it's just my experiences, I would say God, I can't define that. I would say very, I don't want to say hardcore, but gaming often, you know, people who game regularly, people who watch YouTube videos, people who are in the gaming scene, I would say I don't think it's accepted yet. Maybe that's just where I'm at, and I think for younger generations, from other people I've talked to, I think it is.
Yep.
But I think, and maybe that's, I didn't define that when I asked you guys.
I think
Would you guys answer
our
change?
level of gaming is not accepted, I think.
Yeah.
But
and even
casual
below
gaming
us, I
is.
mean, not people who just make YouTube videos, because I think anyone who makes YouTube videos can testify that it goes to a whole new level. I've spent 10 hours doing something that's not even important for my video, but just because I'm anal, I'm like, I should have, it's going to take up 2 seconds of my video, it's not going to net me any views, and I spent 10 hours on a video, the rest of it's going to take me an hour, you know, so it goes to a whole new level. But if
You'd
we
be doing
add
that
in
over something else, though.
the people who watch YouTube, you know, and they're following it, they're the ones who, you can ask them, what's the best sniper rifle, and then they're going to say this one, they'll be like, well, I think it's this one because this one has better damage, and is that level of gaming, would you guys change your answers and say, no, that's not accepted?
At that level, I probably would, because in my experiences, usually when you talk to somebody about gaming, you just kind of talk about like what games do you play. Was
Once
there
you
a
start
moment
getting
in
the
it?
mechanics, it changes.
Yeah, once you start getting into the mechanics, you see their eyes kind of glaze over, and it's time
When
to
you're
stop
telling
the
you
conversation.
played with only defib paddles for 3 days, they go, well, all right,
But
we're
it's
not
like
eating lunch with you today.
You gotta own it. You can't be feeble about it. You gotta be like, I know the stats. If you want to talk to me about it, I will talk to you about it. If someone asks you about it, you just tell them. Like, I'm
it's
totally open
confidence.
with. I'm totally open with what I want to do. If someone asks me about Battlefield 3, I'm gonna unload on them until they're like want to commit suicide. That's what's
Beat them
happening.
down, yeah.
Right before we stop, Carl, just 'cause I'm curious about in the youth of today, YouTube, is that as popular as gaming? As I've ever been watching YouTube videos? Not making it, but watching, or not really?
All my buddies are into like Uber Hacks or Nova and like the very loud people who play games. what's the other guy? PewDiePie. He's a smash hit over at the schools, but
Okay.
yeah, they watch him.
I'm not big in the middle schools. Damn it.
Alright, so what I want to do now is wrap it up. I think we have a time for a little bit of an after show. I really don't want to keep it going more than like 15 minutes today. We know we've done like hour after shows lately, but I appreciate anyone who's watching this in the stream. Please stay tuned, stay in the after show. We get a little more interactive, a little more relaxed. And for you watching on YouTube, please tune in for the streams next time. You can find the time in the description below. You can find the link to my live stream where you can follow us there, get notifications when we go on, and we really appreciate you watching. And as you saw, one of these topics came from one of your comments. So if you guys have interesting comments, best place is on the YouTube video comments, not in the live stream, so we can look over it, we can talk about it, and we'll do that. So I really appreciate you all watching. Give us just a minute. We'll come back for a short after show.